Good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to my show. You are viewing this interview on LSTV. I love to talk, so this is my station for education. I'm your host, Latasha Scurry. My first guest of 2024 is a Tampa native who graduated from Bloomingdale High School and earned her undergraduate degree from the great Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers! She went on to work in education for 25 years before she prayerfully took a leap of faith into entrepreneurship. She also has been a contributing writer for Essence magazine. Her latest endeavor is an opening of Kuumba Books and Cafe, a space for creatives and others to connect, converse, and create. Meet Miss Rubye Dunn. Hello, Miss Rubye.
Hey, girl. How you doing, Miss Scurry?
All right, listen, drop the Miss Scurry. I'm Latasha.
Okay, what's up, Latasha? I feel you. All right, we're not on the
So
clock.
listen, exactly. Guys, look, I met this young lady 7 months ago, and it feels like I've known her forever. I think
Right.
that's the rattler in us.
Yes, for sure. Definitely.
And so she has an interesting story to tell. And you know me, when I like to talk, I just want to give everybody the update and give it to them as nicely as I can. And she has something that I want to do. So I'm going to let her tell you guys her story, because I might be copying her in a few months or at least 3 years. Okay.
Right. Right.
All
Yes.
right. So first we're going to ask that question. Who is Rubye Dunn? Who is Rubye Dunn? Your upbringing. I know you say you're from Tampa, but give us your background. Tell us who is Rubye Dunn.
Oh, since I'm in this phase, I think where I'm redefining myself, that's a very good question. I am definitely what I say right now, kind of in my butterfly stage. I feel like I've kind of been the caterpillar, I've been in the cocoon, and I've kind of emerged from that. I am, like you said, a Tampa native. I am from specifically Progress Village here in Tampa. And like you said, I went to Bloomingdale and then I went to Florida A&M. I'm an educator. I am a speaker. I am a writer. I am truly a woman of God. I am a lover of humanity. And I'm just on a path right now where I feel like I just want to make each day count. I'm a person who really looks to make each day count.
Do you have any siblings, brothers, sisters? Are you an only child?
No, I'm not an only child. I have an older sister and an older brother. And I also have a younger sister.
Okay.
So there are a total of 4 of us. Yes. And so my sisters are here in Tampa. My brother is in South Carolina. And then, of course, I'm here in Tampa as well. And my parents still live in the same house, have the same phone number on the same street. They've had probably since they moved into that house, same phone number, everything in the village. Yep.
No.
Yeah, I think they've been there since like 1970, my mom said. Yeah. Yep. So a lot of
now,
my heart is big for that.
Do you live near them?
Do
you live near them?
I'm in Waimama. So I'm not close to them, but we're on the same side of the county.
Okay. Well, listen. Everybody needs to know that this is a rattler. She did something that I am interested in. I don't know the whole story, but I am interested in finding out how she did this. First, we're going to start with the college. She went into education. Why? Why education?
Well, in the article that I wrote in Essence, I kind of tell this story, and it's one that I always get a little goosebumps about because I wanted to be a sportscaster and a sports writer. So I wanted to work for like Sports Illustrated and work for ESPN like simultaneously. I wanted to do like halftime reports.
I wanted to be a news anchor.
See, we do have a lot in common. So I wanted to do that. And I will tell you, like I said, forced by fear, just the negative voices that we sometimes have in our heads as teenagers or even as adults. My professors at FAMU would always use my essays in English class or humanities class. If we had to write an essay, they would use my essays for the whole class. Like, you need to be writing like Smith. Smith knows how to write, so I knew that I could write, but I I decided to major in English. I'll never forget. And so with that English degree, I still thought that I would go and get my master's in journalism, but I ended up getting my master's in educational leadership. But I definitely, education was definitely not my first choice. I had no desire. I'm going to be very honest. But it's a career that has been extremely good to me and my family. But I ended up kind of choosing to go into education because I was a little bit, quite frankly, I can admit at 50, a little too afraid to take the leap into what I really wanted to do.
Absolutely. And that's why I said we are kindred spirits. I think that I find myself trying to go into my true love by doing these interviews because I wanted to be a news anchor.
Oh, I can totally see it.
And so I found myself behind the screen. I'm a one-woman show, but this lady right here, Rubye Dunn, is here to teach me some things, okay? She's here to teach me some things.
I actually had a show at Gaither. I said I actually had a show at Gaither on the morning show. It was called Getting It Done. They might have some tapes of it or recordings of it at the school, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they don't have to give me any because I checked out your Facebook page. I saw it. Getting It Done.
All right.
I said, I know this lady. I know it. I know her.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm so excited to have you here. Okay. I really am. So now here's a question. I heard you said Essence Magazine. How did you get started contributing to Essence Magazine?
I actually was on a leave of absence from work. I had been in a car accident, and my physical therapist kept telling me that I needed to take a leave. And I, you know, how that career is, because you're in the same exact career. It's very demanding. So I ended up prayerfully kind of taking a leave of absence. And while I was on the leave of absence, I just began to explore some of those things that were in the back of my mind that I had not really paid attention to. And one day I went to the beach. I had a copy of Michelle Obama's Becoming. I had a copy of Essence Magazine. And I had my journal. And while I was flipping through the Essence magazines, I was like, man, I always wanted to write for Essence. You know, I just started thinking about those things that, you know, I just had not taken the leap to do in my life. And it seems like as soon as I said that, I had written an article for a local publication. And it's just like God kind of downloaded in me. You already have an article, just send what you have. And, you know, I'm like, huh? What? Like, you want me to send what I already wrote? But I'm kind of in this season that I kind of take leaps. And if somebody or something says no to me, I just know that's not for me. It doesn't mean that I don't need to pursue what I want to pursue. So I said, I'm going to send it. Go ahead. Oh, no, if they say no, I just know it's not. I was going to go to Ebony or somewhere else. I was going to go to another magazine. Well, I got the article that I sent to the local publication and sent it to Essence. And the editor wrote me back and she was like, oh, my gosh, you're a great writer. But, you know, I want you to go back to your article, because the article was about pivoting, and tell me about your pivot. And so I added my own story to the article. And when she got it, they published it within like a week or two. Well, no, yeah, it was about a week or two, about 2 weeks. It was that easy. And when I say easy, I don't mean
because I've never heard anybody do that. So you must be a phenomenal writer.
I do the best I can. I will tell you, and I say it was easy. Writing the article was not hard. It was, you know, I really was very transparent, told a lot of my personal business in that article. But I feel like I'm in a stage that I want to continue until my last day, that I want to use my life and my path as a testimony for others. I want to encourage others to take leaps, prayerful leaps, you know, divinely led leaps. I don't want you just out here willy-nilly. But, you know, it was one of those things that, you know, for those of us who are believers, we know that God really orders our steps, and we just have to be obedient. And that is a prime example. I really felt like I had this article and he was telling me to send it. I sent the article in, and it was like 1, 2, and 3. It really happened pretty swiftly. Mm-hmm.
Now, so when you say you sent it in, was it you had an Essence magazine where there's something in the back or in the front that says, here, submit articles, or you just said, I'm going to take a leap of faith and I'm going to send my article to Essence?
Well, the person that I had originally written my original article for, you know, this is, you know, I pray a lot about resources. You know, I used her as a resource. I reached out to her. I said, hey, I'm thinking about sending an article into Essence magazine. And she was like, oh, that would be great. she sent me a list of editors or something. And then because of my article was based on lifestyle and living, I went to the lifestyle person, which is what she directed me to do. And I sent it directly to that person. So there is a list of the editors when you open up Essence somewhere, there's a list of the editors. So if you do an article on beauty, you're going to go to the beauty editor. If you do a lifestyle article, you're going to send it to the lifestyle editor. And so I sent it to her.
All right.
And she responded. I was surprised. She responded pretty quickly. Within about a week. It might have been maybe 5 days. Mm-hmm.
So wherever you want to publish, you have to find the right editor to get your article in front of.
Right.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, because they read it and then they present it to the larger table of individuals, like the actual, editor and chief. They go through, they all go through all of it. And then if they like what you've written, and if what you have written stands out to them and they gravitate towards it, they will reach back out to you and let you know, like, hey, like I said, for me, the only thing she wanted me to do was add more of my personal story. And I don't know this woman from Eve, but she told me to add more of my personal story. Seriously. And that's what I did. And just so grateful and thankful that I was able to do that.
Now, to sum that up, you're saying whenever somebody's submitting, they need to make it personal. Is that's a good advice you want to give them?
If you're telling, like for me, my article was about going through the fire of life. Like, when you're called and how I was being beckoned and called to take a leap and to walk through fire, to be refined, to get to this place that I am now. Like at 50, I told somebody this a few months ago, I almost feel like I'm like 20. Not to say that I look 20 or anything like that, everybody, but I will tell you, I feel more, there's a certain freedom I have to be me that I don't think I've ever felt, maybe not from 20 to 49 or 48, I'll say. So as a teenager, I was very free and very confident, but it just seems like, I guess once I chose a certain life and career, you kind of walk that path and stay in that mold. And so I feel like I've kind of gone through fire to break through that mold and kind of get back to the essence of really who I am, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful 50-year-old right there, guys. I just want to let y'all know she's beautiful.
I will take it. And likewise to you.
All right. So when did you know it was time to exit education? And it might not just be education. It might be someone is trying to leave there in the corporate world. Yeah. When did you know it was time to take that exit?
I probably knew about, I did 27 years. So I would say I knew maybe 20 years I didn't want to leave. I always tell my business, and this is not something I've shared with a lot of people. I always tell, I had children, I had a family, to support, and I was deep into a career. So basically, I told myself when my son graduated from high school, and he graduated in 2019, when he probably was in like 7th or 8th grade, I said, when my son graduates, my youngest, I'm graduating. I'm going to take these leaps and whatever. So he graduated in 2019, and that was something I had even prayed on. So, so that's part of it. The other part is in any situation, you kind of know when it's time to separate and when it's time to really step back and take a look and think about how you want to proceed. I won't say necessarily separate. So there were some things that took place. I didn't feel the same. I was a very hard worker. I was always like advocating for kids and, just Miss Dunn, I ate, slept, and breathed at school. And then all of a sudden I just, I slowly but surely didn't have that same drive. And I really felt like I was being called to do something different. And so, it wasn't an easy call to answer because, when we're in a pattern of life, a certain paycheck is coming in, let's be honest. And you're just in a certain pattern, you kind of don't, it's kind of hard to break free from that. But, I was on leave at the beginning of 2023. I had took a 6-week leave, and I just feel like I kind of, it just thrust me forward for many reasons, but it thrust me forward.
Okay. Now, see, you said something about financially. I think everybody who's watching this or who will watch this will say, I'm not ready because I'm not financially ready. And I don't want to know what your bank book looked like. I want to know, what did you do mentally to prepare yourself when you said, okay, I, like you said, I still have to eat.
Oh yeah,
So were
mortgage.
you just ready? Did you put stuff in place that allowed you to do this, or you just said, I'm going to do this now?
Certainly put things into place. Certainly, I have a mortgage, I have bills to pay. So I definitely had to, there were certain home projects and, I wanted a new car. I couldn't go buy a new car. I had to really put that money to the side because, the bills don't stop and no matter what you're doing. So I had to prayerfully, um, put things in place before I left. Things were not perfect though. Let me just tell you things, and I say this in all capital letters, things were not perfect when I chose to leap. Generally, when you're taking a leap in life, things are not going to be perfect. You do need to make sure that you have some
Okay.
sort of foundation set, but things were not perfect, but I did put some things into place to make sure that I could maintain for sure.
Okay.
And I
Awesome.
got other
I mean,
employment.
that's the best advice. Okay. Okay. No, that is a fair answer. And I just want people to know that I think the thing that you keep harping on that I want everybody here is prayerfully take that
Oh
leap
yeah.
of faith. You
Oh
can't
yeah.
just do things, you
No.
know, prayerfully. And I have gotten in the past month have had to get down on my knees and say thank you.
Oh yeah.
And this is not a spiritual show by no means. I am not trying to convince anybody of my spirituality. But what I
Right.
am saying is you better commit to something.
Yeah.
Okay. And I commit to prayer.
Right.
So how
Exactly.
did this new adventure come along? Right. How did this new adventure come along? It's called, and if I'm saying this correctly, boy, I have been praying I'm saying this correctly. Kuumba? Is it Kuumba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah.
All right. Kuumba Books and Cafe. Talk about it. Talk about it. Tell
It's
us
like
how this
definitely
unfolded.
it's a vision that I had. I taught in Atlanta, Georgia for 4 or 5 years, and it was a coworker and I actually were
Oh,
going
I didn't
to
know that.
open up. Yeah, we were looking and talking about opening up a bookstore cafe in downtown Decatur. So that was like 2007, 2008. So neither I think
Okay.
I taught English and she was a science teacher actually. And so we were thinking about it. And
Mhm.
I knew that, how sometimes again, you just have like something in your spirit, something in your heart that is downloaded into you that is tugging at you and it just does not go anywhere. Like I said, that was 2006, 2007, something like that. And it is one of those things that just never went
Mhm.
away. And I'm an avid reader. And I want to go into entrepreneurship. And like I said, that was several years ago. Well, fast forward, my kids were young. I think one was in the seventh and one was in the fifth or fourth or something like that. But nevertheless, it just was not the time. When I came back and settled in Tampa in 2010, 2011, I didn't want to go in the school system. I wanted to do something different. And life, again, just kind of kept directing to me to what was kind of I guess the familiar path for me. So nevertheless, this passion that I had to open this bookstore cafe, because in Atlanta, I was going to do the bookstore events part. And my friend, she's a wonderful cook and baker. She was going to do all the baking for the cafe part. So when I got back,
Okay.
yeah, we kind of had, a plan in place. But here, when I got to Tampa, we used to have Books for Thought. I've heard another bookstore owner speak about Felicia Winton. And, that was my go-to space for my kids and myself when they were very young. So it's just something that has been truly like rooted in me and nurtured over the years. So when I began to think about my next chapter, I knew I wasn't going to stay in education forever. It was really what I knew I wanted to do. And I'm going to tell you, it has been a labor of blood, sweat, and tears, a labor of love, though. And the idea, I'm a public speaker as well. I do a few different things. So I have to kind of make sure that I'm balancing out this space that I want to have. But it truly is a space for people to come in and to connect and converse and to create. And
Okay.
we're just really looking forward to seeing that happen this year. Around July is what our target date is.
Okay. And so you're looking for a space. Am I correct? Have
Yes,
you
I
found
had a
it or you have
space.
sites on the space?
Yes, I had a space that ended up not working out. And so it kind of, moved the vision back a little bit, but we're full steam ahead and we're still looking for that particular space that really speaks to what I'm looking for. And I tell you, one thing that I have learned in the process is, I'm not on anybody's time but mine and the creator. So really moving the vision forward is one that you have to make sure that once you start, and this is for anybody who's thinking about leaping, you'll have so many people talking to you about where you should be by this point and how things should look by this point. And you really have to make sure that you maintain that focus of who got you, who gave you the vision, who blessed you with that mission and vision that you have for your business. And you work it out from there. You work it out from there.
Okay. All right. So now I don't know if this is something that you need. Do you need donors? Do you need somebody who has space who say, hey, maybe this space might work for you?
Definitely.
Do you need something like that? Or are you okay?
No, definitely. Okay. Anybody who is wanting to donate or sponsor, or if you work in commercial real estate and I think you had my email address up. I certainly am looking for all of those.
Ready to display it.
Okay, yes. Thank you. I am looking for all of that right now. And we're just trying to narrow it down. It is quite a venture. I think about how easy being an administrator at a high school was for me, how easy teaching English was. And, I've been out of education now about 6 months. And I'm telling you, I feel like I'm in the school of life all over again, just learning all of these different things about business. It is quite expensive. It costs a lot. And it definitely is something, and it is something that it's a huge undertaking. It's a huge undertaking.
So, you say this and about your business. And in 2001, I had a vision and I was like, I need to do this. I'm not going to say what it is right now, but I needed to write a business plan. And when I wrote the business plan, I had no help. I did not know where to start. So my starting point was I Googled or searched online business plan templates. Yeah. I took each one of those outlines and I researched. It took me a year and a half to write this business plan.
Okay.
Then I said, okay, no bank is going to do this. But I said, you know what? If this bank is going to do it, I have to be able to sell it. So I went to the bank. I made an appointment, sat down. The guy opened it. I had it bound in these nice little spiral bind with the clear cover. I created my own logo. I did everything. And the man sat and he read through it. And I still have copies of it. I'm looking at it right now because I pulled it out the other night when I thought about you.
Yes.
And he looked at it and he read through it. He wasn't saying anything. I was like, oh my God, this man is going to throw this book at me in just a second. He sat there for 20 minutes in dead silence and read it. I'm sitting there sweating. I'm like, what is going on? When he was done, he said, who helped you? I said, no one. I said, I wanted my family, but they didn't see the vision, so they didn't help me create this.
Right.
You're joking? I said, no. He said, you did all this. I said, yes. It took me a year and a half to complete it. And here I am. I said, I'm looking for funding. And he looked at me. He said, you got it.
Right.
I said, what?
Yes.
And then I walked out after we wrapped up everything, walked out feeling good. Couldn't wait to call my husband. I was so excited. And then I did not go through with it because I was afraid.
Oh, girl.
I was afraid.
And I'll tell you a testimony about that. I don't want to share it, to be quite honest. I share a lot, you all, but I'm not going to share that with the whole audience. But I definitely, once we're done, I have something. I got that. Absolutely. I have a similar situation. But yes, fear, going back to my article, and really what I talk a lot when I'm asked to speak, I often speak about pivoting and going through the fire, and also how to navigate fear, because it will paralyze you. It will paralyze your vision. And what I'm learning, as I get older, is that a lot of people are very afraid. Now, I might have some trepidation about starting a business. Some people are walking around here afraid to move out of their neighborhood, or to try a new career, or ask for a promotion, or, and it's just like, at the end of the day, why? We cannot be afraid of that no, because that no just means that opportunity is not for you, not that there's not another one. It really, I say the no's help us, because it helps us say, okay, no, that's not it. You're not it. Okay, let me scratch you off and move to the next one. no's have to become a motivator. And that's huge when you're trying to navigate and leap and go and work with and navigate fear, because it's going to be there.
I love your advice that you're telling people right now. Fear. So ladies and gentlemen, look at the top of my screen. And then what I want you to do, if you have not watched this from top to bottom, from beginning to end, please, for this, go back and watch it. This young lady is working on something, and I'm so proud of her. I've only known her 6 months, and I like her story. I like everything that she's doing. She's giving me courage to get out and take a leap of faith myself. I'm planning my exit strategy for education in 3 years. I have 27 years in, and my exit strategy, I'm not afraid to share with you. So, but when it happens, I have someone who is helping lead me into my next phase of life, and I am going to have him on this show. I'm not completely prepared, but he's preparing me.
Amen.
And so as my mentor, I want him to come on and talk about how he's helping me build my confidence to create my next phase in life. And be honest with you, I saw your story. When I started talking to you, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's my first guest of 2024. I'm so excited to have you here.
Right.
And guys on the screen, find her on Facebook at Kuumba Books and Cafe. On IG, she's on, I can't even read my own
it's
typing
Kuumba Books and Cafe. It's Kuumba Books and Cafe underscore Tampa.
Thank you.
It's okay.
I broke my glasses,
it's fine.
guys, so I
don't have mine on either, and I'm squinting too.
Any of mine.
I get it.
So I can't read anything tonight because I truly broke my glasses, and I was right before the show. I went downstairs to get them. The arm fell off, and I went, oh no. So I got to get that fixed. And and then she has an email up there. If you want to give her some advice, or you just want to connect with her and say, hey guys, I got this space. Hey young lady, don't worry about this. Your blessing is here. Please go ahead and reach out to her, and you guys have that conversation. And I'm going to follow up with you in about 6 months. Okay.
Definitely.
I am definitely going to do this because I think this lady is so unique. She's going from education to entrepreneurship, which there are a lot of people in education who have a lot of things to offer. And I think we stay there because we're comfortable. Like the 2 months off over the summer. We like the 2 weeks off of Christmas break. But is that enough? And I'm not telling anyone not to go in education, but go in for the right reasons, because these kids need you. Today's youth is not like they used to be when I graduated high school 30 something years ago, and our youth are they're a little bit wayward, guys. And so if we can jump back in and help them, and you can dedicate your time, do it. But if you have something else you want to do, I'm going to say that do that also, because you only have one life to live, and we have to can't make it miserable while we're here. Right. I don't want anybody to be miserable while they're here.
No, you have to live your life.
I want to thank my awesome, fantabulous guest, who's also a rattler in the house.
Yes, so good.
So, Miss Rubye Dunn, is there any final words you want to say before we exit the screen tonight?
I just really want to continue to encourage everyone to, the path of leaping, the path of going from one phase or one lifestyle to another. It really starts within. It's an inside job. So you definitely, will work your way through having opportunities to garner advice from loved ones or your tribe, as they call it, or whatever, right? But let it start within, really, what is it that you want to be doing? Maybe the job that you have, you actually love that job, but there are other things you want to do outside of that. You don't have to necessarily just leap from the profession in the way that I did, but definitely allow yourself an opportunity to exercise some of those things that you know in your heart. If you like to write. If you want to teach a dance class, do it. If you want to start healthy living courses where you make food for people, or help if you're can help people with meal planning, whatever it is, carve out that time. We spend so much time on social media, so much time on on Netflix and things like that. And some of that time can be curved towards some of those goals, because like you said a few minutes ago, you only get one life and you got to live it. To me, you should be living it to the best of your ability towards those things that you truly love and have a passion for. And that's just something that I've dedicated myself until my last day. Amen.
Guess what, guys? That is the fantabulous Miss Rubye Dunn.
All right, applause.
For coming
Okay,
on the show.
That's cute.
Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am always looking for unique people who have extraordinary stories to tell. You can reach me at scurry.latasha@gmail.com. If you have an interesting story to tell, just reach out to me. I am here. I want to make sure that everybody, every voice, every story is heard. And I'm using my voice, my talent that God gave me, which is the talent to talk. I don't know anything else. So I'm taking this voice and I am going to plaster it all over the internet in 2024. So more of me in 2024. And it's just about getting the word out there that people on this planet are interesting. They are very interesting and they have a story to tell. So I just want to say thank you for coming on. If you have someone else that has a story to tell, Ms. Dunn, you better reach out to me, okay?
I will. I do know some very dynamic women in my circle, so I'll definitely do that.
And darling, it does not have to be just women. I do men too. As
okay,
well.
I don't know why I was thinking. Okay, so I will definitely, I know a few guys who got it going on as well, I will admit. So I can do that as well.
And reach out to me. Yes, ma'am. But so everybody, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to Miss Rubye Dunn tonight. If you have an interesting story to tell, just reach out to me. My email is scrolling on the bottom of the screen, and I'll see you soon.